y'all? How is everybody doing? We are back at it again with the reviews, and today we're gonna do the Ultimatum season 3. Before we get into the actual series, let's just run through the cast, okay? Scotty, automatically no, 0 out of 10, would not recommend on looks and on his attitude. Though I don't find Scotty attractive, I probably would not have ranked him a 0 if he was nice. So Scotty might have not ranked high, but he wouldn't have been a 0 if he was not a complete abuser. Like, he is so controlling. So Scotty, for me, that's a 0. Nick, I'm torn on Nick because I actually think, like, for a white man with tattoos, Nick is kind of cute to me. I normally would rank Nick close to a 5, but with the way he behaved on the show, I was gonna give him a 2, but then with like context online and some of what Vanessa shared, it seems like some of the behavior might have not been completely voluntary. So we're gonna keep Nick at a 3 until he proves to us that this isn't really how he is. He just might have been dealing with some maybe addiction issues or mental health issues. So I'm gonna show him grace. We're gonna give him a 3. Okay. JR, you know, JR gives me bad bitch Gonze. JR really thinks he's the prize. JR really thinks, like, this is a problem with JR, right? I think when JR looks at himself in the mirror, he sees something more beautiful, more attractive, more appealing than what the rest of us see. Because the way JR is acting like he's so irresistible, that needs to be studied. That brand of self-involvement, of self-obsession needs to be studied. That is an unhealthy amount of self-love. I don't want to say that JR is a narcissist. I don't want to say that because, 1, I'm not a clinician, and 2, narcissism is overused. But I will say this. There are traits. There are traits there. JR is very, very self-involved and have a very skewed view of who he is in the positive direction. Yeah. I think for the average person, we have a healthy dose of self-esteem and probably see ourselves as less attractive than we actually are. JR don't have that problem, baby. And I think that's what keeps us humble. And that's why JR is not humble. Because imagine getting a woman like Zania to date you and trying to put her through it. And putting her through it when Zania is way out of his league. Way out of his league. Way, way out of his league. Come on. Come on now. Zania is a 10. Zania is a 10. Aria, a 10. Aria, a goddess. Chanel, who left? Beautiful. Micah, good looking dude. It is almost as if this season, they don't understand the law of nature that tells you that when you don't look good enough, you need to have a stellar personality. Like, it's like these men really decided to be complete trash, and on top of that, be ugly. On top of that, they don't look good. To JR's defense, though, of the tragic man, JR is the better looking one. If JR's behavior wasn't like this, I probably would have said JR is attractive. I find JR attractive. I just don't find him attractive enough for the behavior that he's displaying. I don't find him attractive enough for the attitude that he has. Again, bad bitch Gonze, but don't have the looks. He don't have the looks. You can't have bad bitch behavior and look like this. You talk like this, you walk like this, but you cannot back it up. A disgrace. Like I said, of the people who left, Dave was nobody's type. Dave is unattractive. And I'm afraid that Dave found that out on the show. I think Dave was not aware that he was ugly until he got to the ultimatum. The ultimatum humbled Dave. And first of all, to be honest with y'all, I love that for me. Because what in the receding hairline and unfortunate set of features had David believing that he was a catch? Sir, you are nobody's type. The whites don't like you. The blacks don't like you. Nobody like you. You're nobody's type. And I'm glad he got humbled. And that's why he was in his feelings the whole time. And even though I know what her name said at the reunion, there was multiple factors. One of them factors was the fact that Dave's ego took several hits very early on when he found out he was nobody's type. Woo! Vanessa, Dave's girl, I don't find her to be particularly stunning. I don't find her to be unattractive. She's just, to me, very average looking white woman. I think Mariah's cute. I enjoyed Mariah's looks. I liked her better on the show. I don't know. Something seemed off at the reunion. She didn't look as good as she looked throughout the season. So I don't know what it was. But Mariah's, to me, is a beautiful woman. Gorgeous girl. Caleb is the opposite of Scotty, right? Caleb, to me, is kind of average looking, but because he has such a beautiful personality to me, I'm going to say Caleb is cute. Caleb is cute. Is Caleb the kind of dude that you would see walking down the street and you'll be like, no. But you know Caleb, you're going to fall for him. You're going to fall for him because he's a good dude. He's a good guy. When you put him next to the demons that he was in, Caleb really looked like the prize. Now that's who should be feeling like he's the prize, because my God. Who else? Aria's gorgeous. Zana's gorgeous. I already said that. Sandy, to me, she's an attractive white woman. She was well matched with Nick to me. To me, look-wise, they were well matched. They were an attractive white couple. Nothing outstanding. I think Sandy knows she's attractive. She used it to her advantage. She has sex appeal and it got JR. Is Sandy the kind of person you consider a bombshell? Like your man really can't resist Sandy? No. The only reason why Sandy and JR had sex is because they were both extremely horny. She's not irresistible. But she's a good looking woman. But also, y'all got to remember, and this is where, like, I wish I had done an episode by episode review, because episode 1, when I was watching the show, I told my partner, JR is here to get laid. He don't give a fuck about none of this. JR is here to get laid. I knew that JR was going to choose Sandy because Sandy was the only person entertaining JR's sexual energy. I knew the other girls weren't entertaining him. That's why he went for her. She was easy. I'm sorry to say that. She was kind of easy. So he was like, yeah, I'm going to go with her. She didn't have to look good. JR was hell-bent on getting laid, and he did. I know they said at the reunion they did not have sex, but I watched the show. I know that y'all did this pact to take this to your grave, but we know what happened. We got 2 eyes, y'all. We got 2 eyes. So that's all about the cast look. When it comes to looks, I'll put the cast at about an 8. Personality and attitude wise, I'll put it at a 4. And that's truly because about half of y'all really ain't know how to act. Really ain't know how to act. 4 or 5. There were stellar people and complete garbage this season. There was no in between. There was no one who was like, oh my God, this person is like solid. I mean, they're not great. No, it's either y'all were wonderful people or y'all were terrorists. My Lord. But one of the things I do enjoy doing when I'm rewatching or reviewing or thinking about these shows is really think about the ways in which, like, Netflix really edits the shows to give you an idea or like point you in the direction of who they want you to think is the good guy and who they want you to think is the bad guy. Because even though Nick was like crashing out, like so, like he was crashing out, it was so hard to watch. The emotion that Netflix wanted you to have towards Nick was clear pity. They did not want us to hate Nick. They wanted us to hate JR. And I don't even think Scotty was their target as the villain. Scotty ended up being the villain with the way the edits were set up. You know how I know that? Because where was the heat for Scotty at the reunion? Where were the questions about Scotty's despicable behavior at the reunion? Scotty wasn't Netflix's villain. It's because he lacked so much self-control that they were like, well, we gotta put some of this shit. But clearly Netflix wanted us to think JR was the villain. That compilation that we got of JR saying all of these inappropriate, clearly non-consensual sexual things to Aria and the other women, Netflix wanted us to hate JR. We already did. We didn't need this footage. We already did. Thank you for the proof, but we already hated him. I guess y'all have been online and y'all see us not talking about him enough. That's literally because we don't want to give him no breath. We already hated JR. We already did. The person I do want to talk about, though, is Scott. Scotty? That scene when Aria, at the beginning, when they were in the dating phase, and Aria saw Mr. Scotty holding hands with Zania, and he completely gaslit her. Y'all, I screamed when I watched that. I was like, woo! I could not believe that this man literally gaslit her like this. Acting like he didn't fucking know what the fuck she was talking about. We saw it. I'm like, you know the other thing I realized with Scotty? Scotty is so abusive that I think sometimes he forgets that the cameras are rolling. I think he is so involved in his narratives about himself and so obsessed with controlling every woman around him that he forgets that there is proof of the behavior that we can have access to. Same thing with boys' night, guys' night, whatever fucking night it was called. One thing I will tell y'all, and some of y'all don't like it, but it is true. Time and time again, these men will prove to you that they solely exist to seek validation in other men. These men move, act, exist for the validation of other men. Heterosexual men have an unhealthy relationship with pleasing other heterosexual men. The way he came at Zania over JR asking him if he was gossiping, I was like, so your homeboy whose dick you want to suck called you a little bitch. You walk into the house with mad heat, mad energy. Pipe the fuck down. Zania's attitude to me, and I think that's why Zania annoyed me a little bit throughout this series. because she came across almost as a pick-me at times. I think she was so desperate for validation, not even from JR necessarily, but like she deserves to be a wife. That throughout the entire series, she was like, yeah, let's come together, let's kumbaya. Fuck that. Scotty should have gotten straight disrespect from her when he came to her like that. Straight disrespect from her. What do you mean JR told you some shit and take that up with JR? I don't give a fuck what your problem is. Take that up with JR. I did not talk shit about you. And even if I did say that, you said JR was here for a hall pass. So what? You probably did. Because everybody that watches the show, that see how JR moves, know that JR was here for a hall pass. The problem is not even that you didn't believe that JR was here for a hall pass. The problem is you're so obsessed with pleasing JR that you're gonna even be like, I don't remember saying that, but hey, we all know it's true. What JR was gonna do? He was gonna try to fight you, and then for you to be like, I don't care how much muscles, how much you weigh your food, how much protein. Clearly you're intimidated. Yeah. Yeah. It's giving you were watching JR, clocking the muscles. Maybe you were in love with JR. Who the fuck knows? But you were too obsessed with JR. Clearly, all of y'all were obsessed with JR. My God, Nick and this goddamn tattoo. Nick and this damn tattoo. What the fuck is going on? What the all of these men out here measuring dicks, trying to be like, oh, my dick longer, this and that. Why is JR y'all's barometer? Like, what is the obsession with JR? I don't fucking understand. This nigga don't, well, he's not a nigga, the white one. He done went and got a tattoo that matches this boy's tattoo and then wants us to believe that, Nick, we don't believe you. We don't believe you, Nick. You wanted the tattoo that JR had. Period. End of story. Everybody knows when you go to a tattoo shop, to a tattoo artist, they do the little, I don't have tattoos, so I don't know the names. But they do the one with a little purple thing, and they show it to you before they start putting the real ink on you, okay? You knew what you were getting. You signed up for it, and you got it. That's it. You wanted a tattoo like JR because you thought, hey, since I can't have a BBC, at least I'll have a big old tat. But you did not make a mistake. You did not. We don't believe you. No one does. And that foolish white woman, Sandy, if she believes you, she's dumber than I thought she was. So yeah, all the men on the show are obsessed with JR. I'm not sure why. When I was watching the swap, like when they were with their, like, the spouses, quote unquote, that they met in the show, their first trial marriage, I love the connection between Caleb and Aria. And I was insanely disappointed that Caleb tried to downplay what seemed to be just a natural connection. Your girl know what show she signed up for. You respected all the boundaries. There's no need to deny that you had a connection with her because it was so obvious. It was so obvious. There was no need to deny it. But also, what I thought was absolutely stupid and useless was Aria calling him out on it in the reunion. Girl, we don't care. Yeah, okay. He lied about not having a connection with you, but what's the point? They just confirmed that they're still engaged. They just showed a clip of them living their best lives. Now you're coming here saying, I can't, you lied, you guys were afraid. Okay. And what is your quote-unquote emotional connection with him going to be useful to you for? You are watching my story, okay? You blocked and unblocked me, okay? You're too pretty to be doing this, girl. Caleb is a good man, yeah, but there are other ones. Look for another one. He don't gone with this white woman. He's gone. He's not yours. We don't care. Respectfully, we don't care. We truly don't care. We could not care less. Impossible to care any less. We don't care. Mariah at the reunion having all of this extra energy for Caleb over Aria bringing this up. Girl, shut up. Shut the hell up. That really hurt me. That really hurt me. That really hurt me. Move on. It's been a year, girl. Again, we don't care. So that was what like stood out for me when they were with their trial partners. Of course, JR and Sandy, they did have sex. We know that. They lied about it. Case in point, she did not want to have sex with Nick when she went back. Case in point, they was in the bed. She also alluded to them having sex at the reunion. I don't know if y'all picked up on that. When she was like, yeah, you woke up the next morning and you said, is this what a one-night stand feels like? Why would he say that, Sandy? Why would he say that? I thought y'all ain't had no sex. Why would he say that? Again, y'all take us for idiots, but we're smarter than that. We're not stupid. I don't know why Micah and Chanel left, but what I do know that I love very much is that it seems like they realized they made a mistake and stood on that. They said, we made a mistake signing up for this. We shouldn't have been here, and stayed out of it. That I can respect. What I cannot respect is receding hairline and goat face. Well, I mean that. Vanessa, Dave and his hairline, and Vanessa saying, we're leaving the show. We don't want to be here. We made a mistake. Leaving the show and then go chase clout on TikTok and the internet. Going on podcasts and all that. Girl, you left the show because you didn't want to be on TV. So you said. So why the fuck are we seeing you everywhere? We don't care. We didn't need your fucking TikTok to know that there was something clearly wrong with Nicholas. There was something wrong with Nick. Yeah. He needed support. He needed help. He needed mental health support. He needed substance abuse support. It was evident. Your TikTok was not necessary. Who is this TikTok? Is this for Chris Colleen? Because I know Chris Colleen said, your man rallied the troops and got all y'all out. Did you make the TikTok for him? Because you could have just sent him and the magazine that published his article a letter. We didn't want to be no part of it. We don't care. Yeah, okay, Nick had some substance abuse issues, some mental health issues that might have driven you out of the show. But you also left because your man is fugly and nobody wanted him. Yeah, we know that. It might have been compounded, but it wasn't Nick alone. Your man was getting no action. He got matched with Chanel, probably because Chanel was like, I'm going to go with my safest option because I'm not interested in turning into Sandy and JR because I take my relationship with Micah very seriously. So she went with the safest option. Your ugly man that she knew there was no in hell she would ever fall for. Yeah. Yeah. Micah and Chanel seem to actually care about one another. So they both went for people that they know they would never try to get with or have feelings for. Yeah. That's how your man ended up with Chanel. And when he realized that you probably could build something with Nick, and he would never build something with Chanel, he started spiraling again. Yeah. So yeah, there might be two reasons, but Nick is not the only reason. We're not gonna put that on Nick. So stay off TikTok. We don't care. You are not part of the cast. You left, be gone. Coming back to the reunion, why? We don't need to be reunited with you. You were not part of the experiment. Be gone. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of her. I'm sick of the TikToks. We sick of them. Be gone. Now, to talk about the better part of the show. When they got back to their original partners. Let's start with the easy one. Mariah and Caleb. Did y'all see the scene when Mariah was having a clearly emotional moment and Caleb was on his computer and he immediately set aside his computer to tend to her and console her, even when he clearly, and she even admitted that he was in the right? That's what love looks like. That's what respect look like. That's what care look like. Zania, take notes, baby. Take notes. This is what a man who loves you does. He sees that you're having an emotional moment. He don't pounce on you. He don't pile on you. He's like, you see that? Scotty wasn't doing it. JR, not doing it. This is what respect in a relationship look like. Kudos to Caleb for a good moment. Which leads me to Mariah. It is very clear that Mariah comes from a traumatized background and needs or feel an internal need for a family. And she sees that in Caleb. Caleb can give her what she never had, a family. That's why she's out here at 24 giving ultimatums. 24 years old, you ain't got no fucking business giving nobody a goddamn ultimatum. The only thing that should have an ultimatum, girl, is the damn club. This is your last chance to not be open when I'm trying to turn up. That's the only ultimatum you should be giving to the club, to the streets, to the single life. You ain't got no business giving people ultimatums when you're 24. This is why this show needs to have a minimum age. 24-year-olds giving ultimatums is ridiculous. Absolute ridiculous behaviors. 24-year-olds should be out here having fun. She wants a family. She needs a family. And now y'all got her on the show rather than saying, you know what? She's too young. She should get a therapist. She ain't had no business being on the show with Caleb. Love them though. Love them though. But they shouldn't have been here. She's too young. She's way too young. I was pleased to see that they're trying to stretch that engagement as far back as they can because she was too young to be married. So that kudos to them for at least saying, you know what? You got the commitment, you got the family. Let's now stretch it out a little more. That was good on their part. The next couple, Aria and Scotty. You see, Aria, she got the opposite problem of JR. I don't think Aria realizes how beautiful and how wonderful she is. Girl, why the fuck you got Scotty out here wasting your time? Disrespecting and abusing you. But I'll tell y'all something. When Aria said at the reunion that she called off the engagement one day later because she was embarrassed to tell her family about it, I would have given money I do not have to see Scotty's face when she said that. Aria was extremely emotional throughout the entire series, and that's because she's been abused. That's because she's been abused. Aria telling us that she is no longer under Scotty's abusive grip might be my favorite part of the whole season. I'm extremely happy for Aria that she broke up with this man and called off this damn engagement. I'm very sorry about her miscarriage. I'm very sorry about her grandma. But I'm very pleased that she's not with this man anymore. And if it took these two traumatic events to set her free, I hope she's going to therapy to heal from them. But I hope that she's also making some time to celebrate how far she's come by pulling herself up and saying enough is enough. She had absolutely no business being with Scotty. Kudos to you, girl. Kudos to you. Let's talk about Nick and Sandy. The fact that we got an entire season of a man completely crashing out and having outbursts because of substance abuse, and Netflix still aired that. This is why I always have beef with Netflix, yo. We always cross over to the unethical with Netflix. This is a person struggling with substance abuse in real time. Why do you all think this is good TV? My God, Netflix. My God. Chris Colleen, again, please. There are certain things that are not mass. There are certain things that are not for TV. The minute y'all found out that Nick was drinking too much and was under the influence of substances and needed to go to rehab, y'all should have cut him out of the show. Y'all should have cut him out of the show. He said he was drinking a lot on the show, so I know y'all saw him drinking. I know y'all could smell alcohol on somebody. That's irresponsible. This is why I'm always going to have beef with y'all. Nick and Sandy's storyline should have been cut out. The problem is y'all would never cut it out because y'all wanted to keep BBC JR as y'all storyline, and y'all wanted to also make sure that y'all portray Nick as like insanely jealous of JR, and that JR is like this player who's coming to have his hall pass and everybody's crashing out or whatever. There's a limit. There's a limit. And also, if y'all felt so if y'all were so convinced that it was a necessary storyline, y'all could have cut it after the swap. Y'all could have been like, unfortunately, there's a lot of things that happened on set. We had to cut out Sandy and Nick's part from this point forward. And have them come at the reunion and explain, just like y'all did. But it was irresponsible. It was absolutely irresponsible for you all to post somebody in this vulnerable state on television for the world to be laughing and berating and belittling for views. I hate that. I hated that. I hated that. As somebody who's had people struggle with substance abuse, with alcoholism and other things in my family, I hated that. Because substance abuse really, really brings out the absolute worst in some of the most wonderful, beautiful souls. It really does. Was Nick's behavior unacceptable? Yeah. Does he need to be held accountable for his behavior? Yeah. Should the behavior be on TV for consumption? No. Trash. Again, y'all missed the bar. It was trash. It was uncalled for. I hated it. The last couple, Zania and JR, I kept them for last because I don't think I understood their dynamic really well up until maybe like the second to last episode. I don't think Zania, and I mean second to last episode outside of the reunion, right? Episode 7 or so. I don't think Zania has ever taken the time to analyze and assess the man that is in front of her. Everything Zania thinks of JR are things are figments of her imagination, products of her delusions. JR has never given Zania any reason to believe he was husband material. You can't convince me of the contrary. Zania told herself I need a husband, and I needed him by this age. She saw JR, probably was physically attracted to him, and convinced herself that he fit in all these boxes. That was not JR's doing, baby. Even when she would tell him, I love you, JR never actually once initiated an I love you. Once initiated a loving conversation, a word of affirmation, a loving touch, or anything like that. To sit here and say your love language is physical touch and to not once try to hug her and say, I love you, baby. And wow, Zania, girl, show us what we're missing, because I know, I mean, you don't need to show us because it's not there, because you told us at a reunion it wasn't there. We know. We watched the show and we knew before you went on the reunion. Jared never gave a fuck about you. He never gave a fuck about you. How you did not pick up on that in 3 years is odd to me. To be in a relationship with somebody in 3 years and say you were on a show for 3 weeks and learn more about them than you did in 3 years, that's somebody who purposefully is avoiding intimacy with you. And intimacy is not sexual, emotional intimacy. He's avoiding intimacy with you. He does not care about you. I'm glad you saw it. You came with a lot of energy at the reunion. You did too damn much with the QR code under the nail and all of that. You did too damn much. But you weren't wrong. You weren't wrong. JR has an extremely unhealthy relationship with seeing women being infatuated with him. JR and Sandy's behavior at the reunion tells us how demonic JR has been in his relationship with Zania. The way in which JR completely ignored Sandy, the ways in which JR had nothing. Y'all, watching JR at the reunion showing Sandy absolutely nothing, paying her dust while she was out here crying, shows you that all of that he had for Sandy was because he knew she was her only lifeline for sex on the show, and he was gonna milk it. He don't give a shit about either one of these women. He don't give a shit about Zania. He don't give a shit about Sandy. I think that's all I gotta say. All in all, I'll tell y'all this one more time. The Ultimatum, as a premise, as a show, is a stupid show. It's a stupid show. You do not need your partner to go have sex with other people to know if y'all should marry them or not. It's a stupid ass show. But I'm going to watch it every time. Because it's messy and it's stupid. Y'all be out here about, yeah, we're monogamous with this, with that, but let's go swap partners. That's wild. It's bullshit. But I love it. So, I'll be watching season 4 or season 2 of Queer Love, whichever one comes first, and I'll see y'all again. We're going to be right at it again. Tell me what show I need to do next, y'all. Tell me what show y'all want me to review.